Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show is my reaction to ESPN's latest predictions for the Raiders this offseason. ESPN released an article. They talked to a bunch of their writers, and they said, hey, man, I need you all to act like an NFL insiders. I need you to act like general managers and make some predictions around the quarterback position. So you're going to see what ESPN believes is going to end up happening here for the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to talk about a quarterback that they're going to trade for. We're going to talk about a QBs in the draft. We're going to talk about what they end up doing with some guys on their own team. First, though, let's get into this ESPN article. We asked our NFL Nation reporters to serve as general managers for the teams they cover and decide what to do at the most important position in football. The stand-in GMs made decisions on their current starters, put together trade packages for passers who might be made available by their teams, and came up with contract terms for free agents. They also projected extensions and cap casualty cuts. And finally, they mocked the first 3 rounds of the 2024 NFL Draft to address the future. This exercise was limited to quarterbacks who would either start or compete to start in 2024, with the exception of a few day 2 draft picks who will almost certainly sit in year 1 wherever they land. If you're looking for Raiders videos every single day like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button. When there's breaking news happens, we go live. If you want content around the draft, free agency, guess what? Tons and tons of content's going to happen here. We have 164,000 subscribers for a reason, and it's free to subscribe. All I ask is this. Watch the show for a week. If you like it, keep that sub button going. If you don't, you can unsubscribe. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Let's go to the first ESPN prediction coming up here, and it was the Las Vegas Raiders are going to trade for Bears quarterback Justin Fields. And I know Justin Fields has been a very common name that I have brought up, and I said, hey, if Champ Kelly is with this team, you better believe it. There's going to be a lot of connections there. Kelly was a part of the regime that drafted Fields back in his time with the Chicago Bears, but he's got 1 year left with the Bears on his rookie deal. He makes $3.2 million in 2024 and costs $6 million against the cap. He does have a 5th-year option for 2025, and that's due May 2nd, and it would cost $22 million. So if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, it's going to be a $6 million cap hit for you in 2024. And one of the things, I'm telling you right now, if I'm Las Vegas, I'm not going to trade for Justin Fields. If he goes, I am demanding that you give me a 5th-year option at $22 million. To me, that, yeah, you're going to get him cheap for this year, but then you're already locking him in for $22 million next year. I don't know if I love that idea. If I'm Las Vegas, I would rather almost just test out the waters for 1 year, see how it goes, and then if it goes well, then guess what? Then I'm willing to pay the more money the following year. What I don't want is for the Raiders to be tied to another quarterback that doesn't fit their system at $22 million. It does not make sense for the silver and black. So how about this? Here was the ESPN trade idea that ended up going down. The Raiders get Fields. The Bears end up getting the number 44 overall pick in the 2nd round, and they didn't say exactly what pick the silver and black would give up to Chicago. All they said was a 7th-round pick, but if you remember, the Raiders do have 3 7th-round picks, all somewhere between 224 to 240. So it is just an idea to throw out there. The reason why they ended up doing this trade, it's because of this. Champ Kelly, who was their interim GM in the last half of the 2023 season, was with the Bears when they drafted Fields. And although Tom Telesco was hired as general manager, Kelly remains with the Las Vegas Raiders as an assistant GM. Some of this might hinge on how Telesco and whoever the Raiders hire as the offensive coordinator view Fields, but it makes financial sense for the Raiders because Fields, a 3-year NFL vet who is younger than rookie Aiden O'Connell, is on his rookie contract and under team control for the next 2 years. So, best OCs for Fields in my book, Clint Kubiak, and actually as I am making this video right now, Alex Van Pelt has been hired by the New England Patriots to be their offensive coordinator. So guess what? You can just cross that name off right there. Cliff Kingsbury is at number 3, I would say, for the best OCs for Fields. Alex Van Pelt, just hired by the Patriots. Cross him off the list right now. So pick a quarterback. If you had to pick between Justin Fields and Aiden O'Connell, phenomenal timing. Type JF for Fields or AOC for Aiden O'Connell. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and let me know. If anybody says Aiden O'Connell, I know that y'all love AOC, but we need to have an honest conversation here. And that's what friends do. It's what family does. And last time I checked, the nation's a family. It's Justin Fields, and it's not close. Anybody that says they would rather roll with AOC, Aiden O'Connell, than Fields, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I can't take what you're saying seriously. You do not know ball. Fields is a much better athlete. He's a younger player. His upside is much, much higher than AOC's. And at the end of the day, you need somebody that gives you a chance to actually compete against Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if it's Fields yet. I don't know if it's Fields. But to me, Fields at least has the opportunity. I know it can't be Aiden. And if you can find a resource that you don't have to give up all those draft picks and then you can build a better offensive line, you can still address all your other needs in the draft. Like, building a more complete team, I do think gives the Raiders a shot. I am team trade up into the top 3. If you can't trade up into the top 3 for one of those quarterbacks, the next thing on my list is for trading for Justin Fields. When you look at the past 4 seasons, now, he's only played 3 years in the NFL. The bottom number there is what he did in college at Ohio State. But last year, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in only 9 games played. 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions the year before that. But the reason why you take a chance on a guy like Fields is because of what he can do with his legs, right? I mean, he is a phenomenal runner, and the 1,143 rushing yards is the most rushing yards that a quarterback has ever had in the National Football League. And I would be curious to see what Fields is able to do with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Michael Mayer. I mean, it's so much of a better situation in Las Vegas compared to what he had in Chicago. The Chicago Bears had a terrible offensive line. Yes, they finally added DJ Moore, but it was DJ Moore's first year in an offense. I mean, think about how many times us as Raider fans have sat here and said, oh, well, it's year 1 in a system. Oh, it's year 1 in a system. Well, guess what? It was year 1 in a system for DJ Moore and Justin Fields. My point is he has upside. I will admit, the trade that ESPN put out there, I think it's a fair deal for Fields. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and say it's not a fair deal. It's a fair deal for the upside that he has. I've also talked to many Raiders players that said that they would be on board for trading for Justin Fields. But if I was Las Vegas, I would like there to be almost like a comp pick kind of thrown in there where it's like Justin Fields has to play a certain amount of games because he has been kind of like the Calvin Ridley deal, sure, or even like the Carson Wentz deal where he's got to play. If he plays more than 14 games, I'll give up a second-round pick. If he doesn't play 14 games, well, then that second is a third-round pick. So that's kind of how I would like the Raiders to do it if they do end up trading for Fields. Before I get into the rest of this ESPN prediction article, shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. And I'm telling you right now, if you're a Raider fan, there has never been a more important time, a better time to get started with Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. It's because of this. I want to watch the Super Bowl. I want to be able to watch a football game because it's the last game of the year, and I'm sorry, I know it's 2 teams that we hate more than any team. But guess what? There's no way on Super Bowl Sunday I'm not going to watch the game. So at least with Prize Picks, I have the ability to enjoy what I am watching. And if anybody wants to do that with me, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want Kansas City to win. The team that I'm going to be rooting for will be the San Francisco 49ers. I'm telling you right now, I do not want the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl inside Allegiant Stadium. But what I will root for is that my $20 that I put here, turns into $200. And I think that there's a chance. 1 catch from Kyle Juszczyk, a touchdown for Pacheco, 7 straight games, 11.5 rushing yards. Dude had 50 the other game, and half a passing yard for Patrick Mahomes. This to me seems like a lock. I am basically already putting $200 in my pocket. So if you're like me and you're like, man, I don't know who I want to root for, or man, I don't even know if I want to watch the game. Watch the game and be selfish. Try to just pick some players that you think are going to do better or that are going to do worse. All you got to do is choose more or less, pick 2+ players, have a chance to times 25 your money. I mean, it's a hell of a deal. I love Prize Picks, and I think you guys are going to like it too, especially if you're on the fence about watching the big game. All right, let's go to the next ESPN prediction. It was cut Jimmy Garoppolo. This one, Jeremy said it, and I was literally just about to say it. Duh. Like, if you do not cut Jimmy Garoppolo, I will question Tom Telesco's intelligence. I will question Antonio Pierce's intelligence. I've already questioned AP putting Jimmy G in the game because I'll still say this. It was not the right move putting Garoppolo in that game when Aiden O'Connell got hurt. But Mitch, Aiden got hurt. I get it. What should have happened was Brian Hoyer should have been the active quarterback because you could not have afforded to risk the injury of Jimmy G, who gets hurt all the time. And now you have to know that you have to move on from everything McDaniels, but you also got to cut the fat, and that's what Jimmy G is right now. Here's what Paul Gutierrez had to say. Las Vegas needs a long-term answer under center for Antonio Pierce, who had the interim tag removed from his head coaching title, and it is likely to move on from expensive vet Jimmy Garoppolo, who didn't work out after signing with the Raiders last offseason. So for those of you that do not know, Garoppolo signed a 3-year deal, $72.75 million contract this offseason. The Raiders restructured it, giving him 2 void years in 2026 and in 2027. His cap hit this year and next season would be $28.5 million. I'm not paying Jimmy Garoppolo $28.5 million in the next 2 years to be a backup. Yeah, you're going to eat some money, but guess what? I'd rather eat some money and save some than just throw away $28.5, because this is literally throwing away $28.5 million. So I've said it before. I started talking about this back in early November. There is a 0% chance Jimmy Garoppolo will be on the Raiders. Now it's this season. No chance he's going to be on the team in 2024. And the other problem is, because I know some people are like, well, don't just cut him, trade him. No team is going to trade for Jimmy G's contract. He stinks, and he always gets injured. Think about the last thing that you saw from Garoppolo. It was horrendous football. There is no team out there. Like, I think I have a graphic that says he's a 5th-round pick. If the Raiders could get a 7th-round pick for Jimmy G, you do it in a heartbeat. 7th-round pick, you do it in a heartbeat. But here's the thing. If you trade him, yeah, you save $11.4 million. You're going to eat $17.1, which actually you end up eating more money if you trade him. New team takes on $11.3. I don't even think a team would want Jimmy Garoppolo for $11.3 million. His value is a 5th-rounder at best, and I mean now it's probably a 7th-rounder at best. The way the Raiders have to handle this entire situation with Garoppolo, because thanks a lot, the clown, the Raiders are going to have to put Jimmy G as a post-June 1st cut. What does that mean necessarily? I'll kind of explain it here a little bit more in depth, but essentially what this is going to happen is for the roster on the 5th day of the 2024 league year, okay? The reason why you have to designate him as a post-June 1st cut is because if he's on your roster the 5th day of the new year, which I believe is March 19th, if my memory serves me correctly, then he gets $11.25 million. You cannot afford for that to happen. So the cut does need to happen before March 19th. I should have just looked down. So they got to cut him before this date here, but due to the contract, you just designate him as a post-June 1st because it's the only option. And remember, you can only designate 2 players as a post-June 1st cut. It's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. It's going to be Hunter Renfrow. I'm telling you right now, Jimmy G, Hunter Renfrow, post-June 1st cut. The Raiders are going to end up saving with those 2 guys over $30 million. But here's the thing, and this is, again, is why you have to do it, right? The NFL teams allow 2 post-June 1st cuts, so that one we just got to fix. But when you look at the numbers here, right, you can't cut them pre because then you're just eating $28.3 million and you save $200K. That doesn't do me any good. You cut them post-June 1st, and yeah, you're going to take a cap hit of $15.5 million, but you save $13 million in the process. The issue with the money when you do this as a post-June 1st, the Raiders don't get that money, at least not for free agency, right? So you end up getting that money post-June 1st. So Jimmy G can still go, and he can look to wherever he wants to go sign during free agency. That's fine. But by the Raiders doing this, yes, you do not get that money until June 1st. What smart NFL teams end up doing, then they go, all right, well, I know I'm going to get $13 million. I can allocate that $13 million to the players that I'm going to end up drafting, and I can still spend more money during free agency. Like, anybody that says, no, we can't do that because then we can't have the money to spend in free agency, you're telling me you're willing to eat $28.3 million to get $200K to spend in free agency? No, nobody would do that. Jimmy Garoppolo, his ass, it's grass. So here's my question. You be the judge. After everything that I just ranted and raved about there, if you don't know my answer on this, I can't help you. I can't help you, man. Give me a Y for yes or type your N for no. Should the Raiders cut Jimmy Garoppolo? It's not too often that I get a group of people. Right now we got 1,300 people watching the show live. It's not too often you can get 1,300 people to agree. And looking at that chat, 1,300 people are saying, Jimmy Garoppolo, get him the hell out of here. Coming up here next, which I think is probably going to be the thing that might interest some of y'all the most, where ESPN projects some of these top quarterbacks are going to end up getting drafted at. And what they ended up doing is they took all the QBs that they believe end up getting taken in the top 100 picks. there's going to be one QB that falls down the board. That's going to surprise a lot of y'all. But before we tell you who they are and where they end up going, I do got to tell you about our big game watch party. It's going to be going down for the big game, February 11th, 2 p.m. Pacific time. Seats are filling up quickly. I'm telling you right now, it is free to attend. Here's the address. It's going to be in the Ahern live showroom at the Ahern Hotel. Chatsports.com/big game is the link. You can get in for free. I just can't guarantee that you're going to have a seat. And with seats being, up in the air, I would just rather you reserve a spot for $99 or $149. It's all you can eat, all you can drink. If you've ever been to Vegas, period, this is an unbelievable deal. This is like finding a unicorn when you're out hunting for white-tailed deer. There you go. There's my Pennsylvania tie showing up once in a while. So reserve your spot today. Chatsports.com/big game to reserve your spot right now. And if you're wondering, Mitch, what does this place look like? There's a full bar. There's going to be huge televisions on both sides. And this thing is upstairs, downstairs. You're going to have an opportunity to join the show with Chugs and I. From what I understand, there's going to be a lot of people that you want to meet here. So just wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But at the end of the day, man, unlimited food, all you can eat, all you can drink. You tell me all you can eat, all you can drink, I'm there. And for $99 during the big game on a weekend in Las Vegas, the food also, if you're curious, it's down there at that link to go check it out. If you're like, I don't know if I want it. I've also been asked a bunch, is it kid-friendly? Yes, it's kid-friendly. If you allow your kid to watch the big game, and if you allow your kid to watch the Raiders Report, you should allow them to come to this event too. Bottle service, I think you could probably get bottle service there. I mean, they have a full bar. I see somebody asking down in the comments. As far as I'm concerned, we're going to be pouring shots down y'all's throat. We're going to be giving y'all drinks on top of everything you're going to get. It's going to be a hell of a time. It's going to be a hell of a time. That I can guarantee. All right, let's go to the final thing here for ESPN predictions, and it's the top quarterbacks and where they end up getting drafted. And I'm not really surprised by this list because a lot of the people that I talk to are people that I trust inside NFL circles, and when I see where some of these QBs are ranked, again, I'm not surprised. So this is where ESPN projects the quarterbacks that end up going in the top 100 picks. No shocker, pick number 1, pick number 2, and pick number 3, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, and Jayden Daniels. Here's where some of y'all, I think, are going to be a little bit surprised. The next quarterback that ends up getting taken is Penix Jr. to the New York Giants at 39. Then J.J. McCarthy at 42 overall to the Minnesota Vikings. And I was told I was crazy for thinking that Bo Nix isn't a round 1 quarterback for the Raiders. Well, guess what? According to ESPN, he's going in round 3. Michael Pratt, 76 overall to the Denver Broncos, and then Jordan Travis goes off the board at 84. Bottom line is this. A lot of stuff can happen, right? And a lot of stuff is going to happen during the draft. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. And maybe Bo does fall, somebody like a Will Levis. Maybe he falls even further. I mean, think about Malik Willis. Correct. With those projections that you just saw there, that's also based on the Raiders taking Justin Fields in a trade. So, I got to throw that out there. So, what are your thoughts on ESPN's quarterback projections for the draft? As soon as I saw where Bo Nix was, I was like, man, I got to show the nation this. They're going to be very, very intrigued by it. My biggest takeaways were this. There are only 3 quarterbacks worth drafting in round 1 for the Raiders. There might be quarterbacks worth drafting for other teams in round 1, but based on the Raiders and the team that they have right now, and I'm also saying this because I don't know who the OC is at this current moment that I am filming, there are only 3 quarterbacks that the Raiders should legitimately draft in round 1. It is Jayden Daniels, it is Caleb Williams, and it is Drake Maye. Those are the only 3. On top of that, y'all know that I'm not a big fan of Bo Nix. I have Bo ranked higher than J.J. McCarthy, and for them to put J.J. at 42 and then have Bo slide all the way down to 74, I get it, though. There's a lot of people that are worried because he has not looked good at the Senior Bowl, but Bo Nix needs to be put in the right offensive scheme. Even the offensive scheme for Atlanta, I don't know if that's the best pick, but it sounds like ESPN's even lower than I am on Bo Nix. So, appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. If you want more videos like this because you made it this far in the show, make sure you're subscribed, and if anything happens, free agency, trades, draft, we're going live here on the Raiders Report.